You've been watching it since 8 o'clock this morning. What are your thoughts?
First off, it's riveting. You know, it's beautifully made as a bit of telly. So wearing my TV critic hat, I can say that, you know, they've done a fantastic job. Obviously, it's co-produced with Netflix, with Archewell, the couple's own production company. And in terms of telling their story, they're doing an extremely good job. As to the veracity of that story, well, you know, their truth is their truth. There's two sides, and in this case, many more than two sides to every story. But as telly, beautifully done, beautifully put together, absolutely fascinating. This is a relationship that was documented literally from the word go. I think they even include a selfie that they took on their second date. So in terms of pouring their hearts and souls into it, there has never been such a well-documented relationship as this one. And it strikes me that from the very beginning, they were very keen to make sure that they had any evidence they might need. It's a narrative that was almost set up from the start.
Interesting. That is really interesting. It does sort of make a mockery, though, Catherine, doesn't it, of the fact that their complaint throughout this series is we have been the victims of too much press attention, and our response to that is to give you every detail of our life and our text messages and our selfies. As a viewer, how do you square that apparent hypocrisy?
You can't. You can't. You know, you can watch it as TV and think this is a riveting insight into people's lives. I mean, no, you know, there's stuff here that makes the Kardashians look shy and retiring. I mean, it's just relentless. But underpinning the sort of televisual spectacular, if you like, is the narrative this couple has constructed. Now, I mean, you know, what comes across very strongly, and they were very keen to get across, is that theirs is a love story. And my gosh, these are two people who are bonkers about each other. And actually, bonkers might be the key word in a way. I mean, this is an almost obsessively codependent relationship. And look, I'm not a qualified psychotherapist, but I've had a bit of therapy over the years. I'm a little bit older than Harry and Meghan, and I think I've learned a few things en route. So I may not have letters after my name, but I think I'm qualified to say that these are two people whose relationship is as much about need as it is about want. They're trying to heal each other. There's a whole load of stuff going on here that psychotherapists would have a field day with. And in fact, you know, they're going to make psychotherapists of us all because of the amount of information they've given us. We're all entitled to have a fairly informed opinion now.
Yeah, how interesting. Have you seen so far, Catherine, any actual bombshells that might be damaging to King Charles, to Camilla, to William, to Kate? Or so far, is it mainly about their loving?
No, what we've got going on at the moment, and I'm halfway through the second episode, is the meet cute, as they say. So the meet cute, if you're making a TV show, is where the protagonists, the couple, meet and fall in love. And what we have is very much a meet cute. These are two very cute people, and we know all about how they fell in love, almost from the word go. I think next week, in the next 3 hours, we're going to get the meet as opposed to the meet cute. So I think you're going to get a lot more information about the family, the royal family, next week. What we're having at the moment is a lot of intercutting with shots of other members of the royal family looking utterly miserable all the time. So, for instance, there's a bit where Harry talks about, you know, the women who marry into this, he doesn't say terrible family, but, you know, that's the inference, and, you know, how tough it is for them. Cut to a picture of now Queen Camilla, now the Princess of Wales, and Sophie Wessex, all standing on a balcony looking faces like thunder. You could read it, but actually anyone who's British can see they're wearing poppies. It's Remembrance Day. It's not the most smiling occasions. They're looking somber and respectful. But because of the way the photo has been dumped into the middle of this other narrative, the editing is very clever. The editing is going to back up this this story of sort of mass victimhood.
I was just going to say, I was just going to say, it's almost like he's casting all the women in this family as victims, which does not therefore paint the royal family as anything other than this slightly malevolent spectre in the background, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, you know, he has his story, his agenda, and this is a, you know, it is possible to feel a great deal of empathy, particularly for him, and his awkward childhood, and the fact that his mother is on a pedestal, and she can never fall from that pedestal because, you know, she's no longer with us. So he, you know, he's carrying an awful lot of pain, and that's clear. But as an adult, and let's face it, he's knocking on the door of middle age. You know, it's your responsibility to deal with that shit. Yeah. Forgive my language. You know, we all have our crosses to bear. His cross is particularly painful and publicly borne, but it's up to him as an adult, particularly now as a father, to heal himself. So that's one story. But the subtext also, this sort of talking about the other members of the royal family, is that this is literally, you know, a living hell. If you're a woman in this family, you know, you marry in and suffer the consequences. Well, I think that the difference, one of the many differences between Kate and Meghan is that Kate spent a decade learning the ropes. And I think that, you know, she put in the hours. She got a lot of stick for not having a proper job, for all sorts of stuff over that time before she became engaged. But actually, I think she was probably being trained up by her husband-to-be, who was giving her lots of opportunities to get out if she wanted to. You know, people aren't stupid. That nobody forced Sophie Wessex to marry Edward. She also went through some problems. But actually, as you're a grown-up, you learn to cope with stuff. And of course, for those of us looking in, yeah, we wouldn't want to be harassed by paparazzi every minute of the day. But at the same time, they're not. You know, that's the end. They're not. They lead lives of extraordinary privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting, even from the little that we've learned this morning, it's interesting how William was much more at peace with that deal, that cost benefit of being as part of the royal family, whereas it looks like Harry never came to terms with that.